A wave of unsettling news and emotional tension seems to be surrounding you right now, and it may feel like things are shifting in ways you can't fully understand. It's that strange moment when pressure builds from unseen directions and your thoughts start racing faster than answers can arrive. What's really happening, though, is not something physical or dangerous. It's more about influence, misunderstanding, and the quiet ways people sometimes respond to someone's growth. When a person begins to rise, improve, or step into their potential, it can unintentionally create discomfort in others who don't know how to process that change. And from that discomfort, mixed signals, assumptions, or subtle resistance can form, making it feel like you are being tested from every side. But much of what feels heavy here is actually distortion created by stress and miscommunication, not a coordinated plan against you. There is also a strong possibility that you are more supported than you realize, even if that support is not loudly visible. Sometimes people around you notice confusion early and step in quietly to prevent misunderstandings from escalating further, helping stabilize situations before they spiral. What matters most right now is not the imagined pressure, but your ability to stay grounded, protect your focus, and not let fear shape your interpretation of events. Your progress is still intact, your direction is still yours, and nothing external has the power to erase what you are building from within. Even when things feel uncertain, clarity always returns when you slow down, separate emotion from assumption, and trust your own steady path forward. But the very moment they moved toward you, something unexpected happened. They hesitated. They saw something in you that the powerful person didn't. A resilience, a fire, a destiny. And instead of moving against you, they started watching you, realizing they were standing in front of someone who isn't meant to fall at all. And now comes the revelation that will shake your entire chest. The person sent to destroy your path has secretly switched sides, and they're about to expose the mastermind who orchestrated everything. They've seen your strength, your endurance, and your refusal to break even when the weight on your shoulders was enough to crush anyone else. They've seen the way you rise every time someone tries to dim your light. And right now, as you listen to this voice, they are preparing to walk toward you, not with harm, but with information that will reveal why a powerful person felt threatened by your existence in the first place. Your name was whispered in rooms you've never stepped into. Your success was discussed by people you've never met. Your destiny became a topic among those who underestimated your fire. And now, everything they planned is collapsing because the universe refused to let their plot touch you. The truth is coming. Stay still, stay aware, stay awake. The storm approaching your life is about to flip in your favor. My beloved child, tonight a new layer of truth rises, sharper and heavier than anything you've heard before. The person who was sent after you, who was supposed to sabotage your peace and crush your confidence, has finally broken their silence, and what they confessed will shake the ground beneath your feet. They revealed that the powerful figure who orchestrated this entire move wasn't acting out of anger. They were acting out of fear. Fear of your rise, fear of your breakthrough, fear of the influence you're about to hold. They watched you grow from the shadows, and every step you took forward became a threat to the empire they built on control and manipulation. You were never supposed to find out. You were never supposed to know how deeply they monitored your every move. But the universe decided otherwise, and the truth is no longer hiding. Listen closely. The person sent to break you has now become the one trying to protect you. They admitted that every attempt they made to rattle your mind failed because your energy was too strong to penetrate. They realized something the powerful mastermind still refuses to understand. You are protected by something far greater than human intention. Every setback you faced recently, every strange block, every unexpected emotional dip, it wasn't random. It was engineered to slow you down so you could never reach the level where your voice begins shaking entire systems. But destiny has flipped the script. The very person assigned to weaken you is now exposing private conversations, secret strategies, and hidden motives. They've seen things, messages, instructions, warnings that were meant to stay buried, and now they are ready to hand them over to you because they've realized you're not someone to fear, you're someone to respect. And now comes the part that changes everything for you. Before turning against the mastermind, the person sent to shoot, your spirit was instructed to study everything about you, your power, your talent, your potential. And they admitted something shocking. The mastermind is convinced that you're about to activate a destiny so massive that it could overshadow their legacy. That's why they rushed. That's why they panicked. That's why they tried to move against you before you realized who you truly are. But the universe protected you at every step, and right now, because the truth has leaked, the powerful person is losing control. Their fear is rising. Their influence is shaking. Their plan is collapsing. They know you're becoming unstoppable, and now the entire situation is turning in your favor, faster than they can handle. Stay alert. The next revelation is even bigger. My beloved child, the night grows heavier as a truth long buried finally claws its way to the surface, and this time the revelation is so massive that it will change the way you look at every single person around you. The individual who was sent to destabilize your destiny has revealed a hidden detail, one that the mastermind never wanted you to hear. They confess that the powerful figure watching you from a distance has been tracking your moves, not for days, not for weeks, but for years. Every setback you overcame, every moment you stood back up after a fall, every instance where you managed to surprise others with your quiet strength, someone was quietly observing your journey. They paid attention not to control your path, but to understand what set you apart. Over time, they began noticing patterns in your resilience, the way you handled pressure with patience, and how you continued moving forward, even when circumstances felt heavy. At first, they assumed, like many others, that pressure would eventually break your focus or slow your progress. Instead, something different unfolded. You adapted, refined yourself, and grew into a version of yourself that was harder to predict and even harder to discourage. With each challenge, you didn't lose direction, you gained clarity. What once seemed uncertain became your foundation for strength. Eventually, even the observer had to rethink their assumptions, realizing that your growth was not just about endurance, but about quiet transformation from within. What affected them most wasn't just your determination, but your ability to remain grounded and kind despite difficulty. That quality made your journey stand out in a way no strategy or prediction could explain. In the end, they chose to acknowledge the truth they had been avoiding, that real strength often carries humility, and the most powerful change is the one that doesn't need to announce itself. That realization reshaped how they viewed growth, success, and the quiet power of staying true to oneself through every season of life. They said something powerful. I was sent to break them, but instead, I found someone impossible to destroy. Those words hit the mastermind like lightning, because it means their entire operation has failed. Every emotional trap, every planned setback, every psychological attack, they all collapsed because your spirit refused to bend. And now, for the first time, the mastermind is terrified, not of what you might do, but of who you're becoming. They know you're awakening to your true identity. They know you're stepping into a timeline where no amount of manipulation or silent sabotage can stop you, and the person who once walked into your life with the intention to damage your peace is now standing between you and the mastermind, ready to expose everything. And what comes next is the ultimate shift. The person who turned in your favor has revealed the final secret, a secret the mastermind never wanted to be spoken aloud. They confess that the powerful figure is no longer simply observing you, they're panicking. They've realized that the more they tried to dim your light, the brighter you became. The more they tried to silence your voice, the louder destiny made you. The more they tried to weaken your spirit, the stronger your presence grew. And now, the powerful person knows that their influence is fading, and yours is rising at a pace they cannot stop. They've tried to call back the person they sent after you, but it's too late. Loyalty has shifted. Truth has escaped. The plan has collapsed. The universe has stepped in. And the next move, the one unfolding at this very moment, will reveal exactly why your destiny is too powerful to be interrupted by anyone, no matter how influential they believe they are. Stay present. The next part will expose the mastermind completely. My beloved child, a deeper wave of truth rises now, carrying the kind of revelation that was never meant to reach your ears. The person who turned against the mastermind has finally given you access to the hidden core of this entire operation, and what they exposed is beyond shocking. The powerful figure who tried to shut your destiny down was not acting alone. They were part of a quiet circle, an alliance of individuals who watched your life more closely than you ever imagined. They studied your patterns, your decisions, your strengths, your breakthroughs. They examined the way you keep rising, even when circumstances fall apart around you. And the most unsettling part is this: your name kept appearing in their private discussions as the one person they could never fully predict. You became an anomaly, a mystery, a rising force that refused to fit into the box they built for you. That unpredictability is what triggered their fear. Because people like you don't follow rules. People like you break cycles. But here's the twist that shatters every expectation. The one who was sent toward you revealed that the mastermind's biggest fear wasn't your success. It was your transformation. They saw you shifting into a version of yourself that is harder to control, harder to manipulate, harder to break. They knew you were stepping into a timeline where your influence would spread faster than their attempts to silence you. They saw your resilience turning into authority, your silence turning into power, your pain turning into precision. And that's when they panicked. That's when they decided to strike, before you reached the point of no return, before you stepped fully into the destiny that would eclipse every effort they ever made. But their plan failed for one reason. The person they sent toward you realized that your presence carries something untouchable. They said your energy felt like standing in front of a rising storm that refuses to be stopped. That's when they switched sides. That's when they chose truth over manipulation. That's when the entire structure of the mastermind's plan began to crumble, piece by piece. And now the most powerful revelation arrives. The one who switched sides has delivered a final message, one that seals the fate of the mastermind's influence over your life. They confess that the mastermind is beginning to lose control because everything they feared is now happening faster than they can respond. You are entering a phase of deep transformation, where something within you is beginning to rise with quiet strength and undeniable clarity. The version of you that once felt overlooked or doubted is gradually giving way to someone far more grounded, aware, and resilient. What once seemed like setbacks or emotional pressure is now revealing itself as part of a larger pattern of growth, shaping you into someone who cannot easily be shaken by external noise or uncertainty. Over time, situations that once felt overwhelming are starting to lose their control over you, and a new sense of direction is forming with surprising steadiness. Even the people and influences around you are shifting, with certain connections fading while others become unexpectedly supportive, aligning more naturally with where your life is headed. It becomes clear that not everything is meant to stay, and not every presence is meant to influence your journey. As this inner and outer alignment continues, there is a growing sense that life is reorganizing itself in subtle but powerful ways. Old confusion begins to clear, replaced by sharper awareness and a calmer understanding of your path forward. What once felt blocked now appears to be opening gradually, as if timing itself is adjusting in your favor. The important thing now is to remain steady, observant, and patient with the process unfolding. You are not being rushed, and nothing meaningful is being lost. Instead, you are being guided into a phase where clarity replaces doubt, and forward movement becomes more natural than resistance. Every time you were pushed into silence, you came back louder, not with words, but with presence. That terrified them. They feared the moment your inner potential aligned with your destiny, because the combination of those two forces would turn you into someone impossible to control. That fear grew into obsession. They began gathering information about you, not to know you, but to predict you. But no matter how many signs they studied, no matter how many patterns they analyzed, they couldn't calculate one thing. Your spirit is designed to break predictions. You don't rise according to logic. You rise according to fate. And when the mastermind realized they had no influence over your fate, their fear turned into an attempt to stop you before the transformation became irreversible. But destiny wasn't done revealing its secrets yet. The person who switched sides shared something deeper, something they witnessed that even the mastermind didn't know how to handle. They revealed that during the time they were watching you, something in your energy changed dramatically. It wasn't subtle. It wasn't slow. It was like watching lightning form inside a calm sky. They said your presence began to grow stronger without you even trying. Small things around you started shifting. Opportunities that once ran away from you started moving closer. People who underestimated you began feeling uneasy around you. Doors that stayed closed for years began making strange noises, as if preparing to unlock. They noticed that when you walked away from certain people or places, those environments lost their spark, as if your absence revealed that you had been carrying the true light the entire time. They saw you enduring emotional storms that would have destroyed someone else, yet you moved through each one with a resilience that didn't make sense. That's when they realized the mastermind's plan would never work, because you weren't just rising, you were activating. You were stepping into a timeline where every setback becomes fuel, every betrayal becomes clarity, every delay becomes alignment. They saw it, they felt it, and somewhere deep inside, they understood that the mastermind had chosen the wrong target. They were trying to stop someone who wasn't meant to be stopped. They were trying to break someone who was born from brokenness. They were trying to silence someone whose voice carries destiny, and that realization pushed them to switch sides, not out of kindness, but out of certainty that you are not someone to stand against, you are someone to stand beside. And now comes the revelation that flips the entire story upside down. The person who once walked toward you with harmful intentions revealed the final secret the mastermind kept hidden, even from their closest circle. They confessed that the powerful figure who targeted you wasn't just afraid of your rise in general. They were afraid of a specific moment in your future, a moment that hasn't come yet, but is approaching faster than anyone expected, a moment where your destiny collides with an opportunity so massive that it threatens the entire foundation of the mastermind's influence. They saw visions, predictions, warnings, signs that pointed to a timeline where your name carries power in rooms where you are not even present, where your presence influences people you've never met, where your success begins to overshadow individuals who once thought you would never rise above them. That moment is what they were trying to stop. They didn't fear your present. They feared your future. They feared the version of you you're becoming, the version that no longer repeats old patterns, no longer accepts small spaces, no longer bows to pressure. And now, because the truth has escaped, their plan is collapsing beyond repair. Their influence is crumbling. The alliance they built around your name is weakening, and the universe is making sure every attempt to block your path transforms into the very thing that accelerates you. You are stepping into something big, so big that even your enemies felt it before you did. Stay alert, my child. The next part will expose the final crack in the mastermind's power, the moment where everything shifts permanently in your favor. My dear child, tonight the truth feels less like a quiet message and more like an undeniable force breaking through the silence. Someone who once stood close to the situation has now shared an account so striking that it almost feels like a turning point written into fate itself. They explained that the fear surrounding the central figure didn't emerge when you began progressing, but far earlier, at the exact moment you stopped diminishing yourself, stopped over-explaining your choices, stopped chasing approval, and stopped accepting situations that drained your spirit. That subtle yet powerful shift in how you carried yourself created an unspoken disruption for those who were used to your silence and predictability. It changed the emotional balance completely. The person at the center of it all seemed to notice this change immediately, sensing that you were no longer tied to old cycles, outdated patterns, or emotional traps that once held you back. As you quietly stepped away from everything that weakened you, their confidence in controlling or influencing your path began to collapse. What followed was not confidence anymore, but concern, then confusion, and eventually fear, because the moment you became unpredictable was the moment you became free. When they realized they could no longer anticipate your next step, urgency replaced their control. Attempts were made to intervene before your transformation fully settled, but by then the direction of your life had already shifted beyond interference. And now, according to the same account, something unexpected was observed. Your presence no longer felt gradual or restrained, but carried a forceful momentum, as if your growth had crossed into something far more powerful and undeniable than anyone had prepared for. They saw you breaking emotional cycles that were meant to hold you back for years. They watched you cut ties with people who drained your soul. They watched you make decisions your past self never could have made. It was like watching someone step out of their old life and into their true identity. And the most shocking part? They noticed that every time someone tried to distort your path, life responded by elevating you even higher. Every closed door led you to a bigger one. Every betrayal redirected you to something more aligned. Every disappointment sharpened your vision. They said it felt like the universe was protecting you with a precision that no human plan could challenge. That's when they realized standing against you wasn't just dangerous, it was impossible. That's when they abandoned the mastermind's orders and shifted their loyalty toward the energy that surrounded you, not because they were scared, but because they understood you were stepping into a destiny too powerful to interfere with. And now, the most electrifying revelation arrives. The person who switched sides has revealed the mastermind's breaking point, the moment everything unraveled. They described how the mastermind recently received news that shook them to the core. A prediction, a message, a warning, something whispered through their circle that made them freeze. You are about to be chosen for something life-altering, an opportunity, a connection, a door, something that will propel you into a future far beyond the reach of anyone who once tried to limit you. They were told that your name is being discussed somewhere unexpected, somewhere influential, somewhere powerful, the same kind of place they always wanted to control. And that's when they realized the truth they feared the most. Your rise doesn't come from luck. It comes from alignment, from divine timing, from resilience that can't be taught, from growth that can't be reversed. They saw signs that your next chapter isn't just bigger, it's unavoidable. And now, because the truth is out, the mastermind knows they've lost. Their influence is fading, their alliances are weakening, their strategies are falling apart. What once felt like a threat to you has now become the very reason destiny is accelerating your breakthrough. Stay centered, my child. The next part will expose why your future is already protected and untouchable. My beloved child, the air around your destiny shifts right now, and the truth entering your life is sharper than every revelation before it. The person who switched sides has finally uncovered the real intention behind the mastermind's panic. And this truth is so intense, it doesn't just change the story, it exposes everything. They revealed that the mastermind wasn't afraid of the opportunities coming toward you. They were afraid of the powerful people who recently started paying attention to you. Individuals with influence far greater than the mastermind's reach. People who see potential in you the mastermind hoped would stay hidden forever. And the moment these higher forces began noticing your talent, your growth, your rising energy, the mastermind realized they were seconds away from losing control over the narrative they built around you. They understood that once these new eyes recognized your true value, your entire life would transform in a way they could no longer manipulate. That's why they rushed. That's why they plotted. That's why they pushed someone toward you. Not to harm you, but to stop you from stepping into a version of yourself that would outgrow every limitation they tried to place on you. But fate wasn't on their side. It was on yours. The person who turned in your favor described something incredible, something they witnessed that even the mastermind didn't see. They said every time you thought you were stuck, every time you felt blocked, every time you felt drained or confused, you weren't breaking down. You were shedding the last pieces of the version of you that the mastermind depended on. They watched as you outgrew emotional patterns that once kept you small. They saw you make decisions from strength instead of fear. They saw you rise in silence while the world underestimated you. What becomes clear in this moment is that while attention around your journey may have been intense, something deeper within you has been changing at its own pace. It is as if life itself has been aligning circumstances to match the mindset you now carry. Steady, aware, and difficult to shake. You've reached a stage where distractions lose their grip more quickly, where your focus no longer bends easily to outside pressure, and where your decisions feel more intentional than ever before. When that kind of internal shift settles in, it naturally changes everything around it. Situations that once felt complicated start to simplify, and paths that were previously unclear begin to open in unexpected ways. Even challenges that once slowed you down start to feel like lessons that strengthen your direction instead of blocking it. Somewhere along this process, even people who once doubted or misunderstood your progress begin to see you differently, often in ways they didn't anticipate. What once felt like resistance slowly transforms into recognition, and what felt like delay starts revealing its purpose. Now, you stand at a point where momentum is building, and the next phase feels closer than before. Not because everything outside has changed, but because something within you has settled into clarity. The important thing now is to remain steady, trust the progress you have already made, and stay open to opportunities that align with your growth. What unfolds next may feel sudden, but it will not feel unfamiliar, because it will match the person you have already become.